Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right.
Would you like this?
Okay, you get.
Here we go.
1, 2, 3.
I am a light.
I am a light. I am a light in this world. I am a light. I am a light. I am a light in this world. And I shine. And I shine. And I shine so bright. And I shine. And I shine. And I shine so bright. You are a light. You are a light. You are a light in this world. You are a light. You are a light. You are a light in this world. And you shine, you shine, and you shine so bright. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. How about we? Luana?
Okay.
All right. We are a light. We are a light. We are a light in this world. We are a light. We are a light. We are a light in this world. And we shine. And we shine. And we shine so bright. And we shine. And we shine. We shine. We shine. And we shine so bright. We shine so bright. Good job, you guys. Yay. Now that we got you all high, we're going to ask you to go into meditation. That's what we do here. So I'm going to let Sylvia take over.
Okay.
Invite you to close your eyes and just listen to the words. Thank you.
God is love within my heart. No matter how many mistakes I have made, they are not held against me when I bring myself into harmony with God's perfect love and truth. To be reconciled with God within is the answer to clarifying every situation on hand. Truth is brought into my life. There is a cleansing within my own thinking and an adjustment in personal relationships. I am in harmony with truth. During our silent meditation, I invite you to contemplate this very thought. I am in harmony with love and truth. divine presence, community, divine presence, the world. For God is all there is, everywhere, always, anywhere, forever, within and without, each beautiful being, not only on this beautiful planet, but throughout the limitless universe. So let us soar with the stars and the sun and the moon and all the celestial wonders, and know that each one of us is a part of it all. Letting us know that whatever is present within and without gives us life, joy, peace of mind, and a rejuvenation that is holy and sacred. And everyone can have that and be that. I'm grateful for this community and for the community that is out in the world, online and beyond, all the way to the other side of the planet. I am grateful for what comes together today, for the special messages given by our beloved practitioner, Mary, and our beloved minister, Reverend Dr. Suzette. This is indeed a place and a time for such great music presented by our wonderful guest artist, Lesley. And indeed, it's a time of celebration, of coming together, all of us, getting to know each other better and deeper, and loving each other as is. That is the message of freedom, the message of being inclusive, the message of being one, oneness. So I give great thanks for this day that is unfolding, and I know everything's going to be just beautiful today. It already is. And so with great joy I say together, and so it is. All right. Thank you. I would like now very much to present and welcome back Lesley Alexander, our wonderful musician.
Good morning. I invite you all to sing along to this song, especially at the end when it picks up a little. Some of you would definitely know this song. There was a time in my life when I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling to make it through another day, you've got to let it go. You've got to let it go. And this is what you have to say. Everybody, I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
We're trying to decide who's going first. Who's on first? Flip a coin. Oh, flip a coin. All right. So I'll put yours over here because yours is different than mine. It is different, yes. Anyway, I want to welcome a lot of you came in just at the moment we were starting, so I want to welcome you to OM. I'm Reverend Dr. Suzette Wehunt, and this is going to be a great talk. At least I hope you guys enjoy it. And there's some of you I have not met before, so I welcome you here. And make sure after the service I get to kind of say hi, okay? All right, you ready? So I'm going to introduce Mary. All right. What can I say about Mary? I've known you now how many years? I don't know. Over 10, 12 years. And I love Mary. I think she's an incredible speaker. She is very deep. She hits home with her message, and she's coming full circle, I'll say. I think I was your mentor or something, and then we made many decisions, and now she's contemplating going back to ministerial school, which I'm very excited about, because I think she's already there. So I'm going to let go here and let Mary take over. Let's give Mary a really big round of applause. You're welcome.
Martin? Okay, we're hot. Yeah, thanks. We're coming in hot. So, good morning. Good morning. Happy Valentine's weekend. As I called it, Singles Awareness Day. SAD, sad. No, it wasn't sad at all. I got exactly what I want because I gave it to myself. So the talk today is Ripples, the Art of Mindful Living. And I talked to Reverend Suzette this week, because we're tag teaming the talk today. And, oh, shoot, I was going to put my stopwatch on, but I'll keep an eye on the time. And she said, what are you going to talk about? And I said, what comes to mind is that we are open at the top. And when Ernest Holmes, who was the founder of this organization, it was called Religious Science, Church of Religious Science at the time. One of the things he said that he wanted our organization to be was open at the top. And so to me, one of the things that means to me is that we are continually expanding and evolving. In a lot of traditional faith churches, there's an idea that there's a book. Regardless of the book, depending on what church you're going to, the book might be different, but there's a book that was written maybe thousands of years ago, and that's the Word of God, and that's the last word. Like, is God not continually speaking to us? Are we not, continually evolving something that was written a few thousand years ago? I mean, yes, there is still relevance to it today, but there's so much more. There is so much more to go. And when I was in practitioner training, they really stressed that we are not new age. We are new thought. Like a new thought on ancient wisdom. And there has been so much more wisdom over the years, since man first started documenting these philosophical ideas, whether it was Socrates or Jesus or Buddha or Muhammad, peace be upon him, there is so much more evolution of consciousness since then, while the fundamental principles might remain the same. And so with this thought of we're not new age, I have never really, I've held back a little bit with where my path leads. And I have to admit that I have a fascination, indeed maybe an obsession, with the afterlife and near-death experiences. In the early 90s, I watched a movie and recorded it on a VHS tape off TV called Saved by the Light. And it was at Christmas time, so I recorded all the Christmas commercials. And it was the story about Daniel Brinkley and his near-death experience. If you're not familiar with him, he was struck by lightning and was pronounced dead. And at the time, he was one of the longest people who had been deceased and then came back. It was like 20 or 30 minutes, something like that. And he had this profound experience. And so I used to watch that video over and over and over again. I was just fascinated by it. And then later, like when the internet came along, I started looking up. I found Rona Herman, who channeled Archangel Michael. I don't even know if she's still living with us, but it was just a text, just a written message. And I used to print it out and I would read it, and I probably should have been working, but I was reading Archangel Michael messages. And at the time, I remember thinking, is this real? I don't know if this is real. Is there really an Archangel Michael? And is she really channeling his message? And what I decided was it doesn't matter if that's really what's happening, because the message resonated with me. And for me, that's the point. If it resonates, then it's real for you, or it's real for me, right? And I told myself I wasn't going to say right. One of those Toastmasters things, they count the ums when you speak at Toastmasters. And when I look back at my talks, I say right a lot. So I'm going to practice not doing that so I can be a more effective speaker, right? Right. I think it's just seeking validation. I don't know what it is. Anyways, so I've shared that in 2023, both my parents made their transition, and it has kind of renewed my interest in this near-death and afterlife experience. And I went to a psychic, and She said, my mom is doing great and she's in her heyday and having fun. And my dad had a message for me that really resonated with me. I told my brother and he said, well, I would only believe it's true if Dad said, don't spend a dime on one of those mediums, one of those psychics. I said, no, but this message was personal to me. And so I've been listening to these podcasts now. You know, things have evolved, you know, from when I was recording on a VHS tape with all the commercials to getting a written message online, and now we have YouTube and podcasts. And so I have came across this podcast called Next Level Soul, and the host is Alex Ferrari, and I don't think he's related to the Ferrari family from what he says, but he's this adorable guy, and he was a film director, like a Hollywood film director. And then he started a podcast on directing films, how to direct films and so forth. And he had a mentor, he has a mentor, and she at one point told him, it's time for you to do a spiritual podcast. And he was like, whoa, that's so out of my realm, you know, what's going on? And so he took a leap and started doing this spiritual podcast. And initially, he was interviewing people who had near-death experiences, which is how I sort of came upon him. And a lot of people who have had those experiences, many of you may remember Beverly Brodsky. She was involved with IONS, and do they still meet here? No, but when she was around, she has made her transition. When she was around, they would meet here, and she would host the meetings. And I came and heard her story one time, and she talked about, you know, traveling out to the outer galaxies and just this incredible experience that she had. But I immediately was drawn to her, sort of in part because of that, and we had a connection. I used to give her rides here and so forth. But on this Next Level Soul podcast, initially it was near-death experiencers, and many of them came back with psychic abilities, the ability to see and understand and feel and know things that they didn't before. And so then the podcast sort of evolved. He's been doing it for maybe 3 or 4 years, and I've been just binging on him. And then it sort of evolved into psychics and mediums and channelers and things like that. Things which I don't think as a Center for Spiritual Living practitioner I'm supposed to be talking about, but we're open at the top, so we're evolving, right? Right? And recently I've noticed he has been talking to a lot of quantum physicists and doctors and researchers and psychiatrists and people who are talking about the blending of science and spirituality. And I love that. And that is so much in alignment with our philosophy, with our teachings. And one of the things that they say all the time, well, he asks the person that he's interviewing, usually, what was your life like before? What happened? And what has it been like coming out or going public with this experience or abilities or whatever the case may be? And one of the things he says over and over again, he says, because like 10 or 15 years ago, nobody was talking about this stuff. And I always chuckle because I think, I don't know, Ernest Holmes was talking about it. Thomas Troward, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Edgar Cayce, Emma Curtis Hopkins, all those people, they came up in the late 1800s, early 1900s. They were talking about it. And Jesus was talking about it. He said, in my Father's house, there are many rooms. And so it's just a funny thing to me that nobody was talking about it. Yeah, they've been talking about it. They've been talking about it. It's just that we are expanding and we are evolving as humanity, and so we're more open to it. And So how do we continue to evolve on an individual level? How do we continue to evolve on a collective level? We start with the individual. We start the evolution. I was just listening to Eckhart Tolle on the way over here, A New Earth, and he was talking about the evolution of humanity and how it's believed that maybe we evolved from the waters and how one thing led to another, and over time some little organism that came up out of the water adapted enough to be able to live out of the water and then grew feet instead of fins and lungs instead of gills or whatever. And so there was this evolution, and it took, I don't know how many years, thousands of years probably, for that evolution to take place. But things are speeding up, aren't they? There's AI, which has just exploded. There's quantum computing. And you know how we talk about the interconnectedness of all of life. And I have a friend who wrote a book on social media marketing, probably in the 90s. Pretty cutting edge stuff at the time. And then she wrote another book on the blockchain. And I totally didn't understand it at the time. She signed my book, gave me my book, and it was just beyond my comprehension. But now I see how the blockchain, which is just an interconnection of all these circuits without one central place, which is in alignment with what we say, how God's center is nowhere and is everywhere and its circumference is nowhere. So the physical world is mimicking the spiritual world as we evolve and our technology advances. So how do we evolve as individuals to be part of this collective evolution? It's about being open at the top within ourselves. It's about being willing to move beyond what we think we know. It's like shedding skin. We have to shed the old skin in order to allow what's new to emerge. And we have to continue to do that. And many of us start with shedding old childhood beliefs and the beliefs that we picked up along the way and adopted as our own, whether it was for our benefit or to our detriment. And I don't know why I feel compelled to tell this story. I read this book by Emmett Fox, and it was a metaphysical interpretation of the Ten Commandments. A lot of people have read his book on the Sermon on the Mount, pretty popular book. But this book about the Ten Commandments was so interesting because he said the commandments are not commands. They are just stating the truth. And one of them is, thou shalt not steal. And the greater truth about that is you cannot steal. You can take something from somebody, but if it does not rightfully belong to you, you can't hold on to it. And it might not be that I stole this money from so-and-so and I can't hold on to it so somebody else steals it from me. It might be seemingly unrelated. You can have a car breakdown for the exact same amount as you stole or something like that. It's not always obvious. It's not always tit for tat, right? Right? I'm counting my rights. So we let go of old ideas. And many of us, one of the guests that he had on this podcast was Kyle Cease. And he was a comedian. He was a stand-up comedian, and he was in some comedy movies, and he had an awakening, and now he does motivational spiritual talks. He has some books and documentaries and movies out. And he was on this podcast, and he was talking about self-talk, the things we say to ourselves. And it was from his book, The Illusion of Money. And he said, imagine if you took money on a date and you said the things to money that you believe about money. And this could apply to anything in your life. It could apply to your health, to your job, to your relationship. It could apply to anything. But he was talking about money. And imagine you took money on a date and you said, you are the root of all evil. And you said, you're not enough. You're not enough for me. You're not present for me enough. I need more of you. I need more from you. Would money stick around? Not unless it was a toxic relationship. Now, a toxic relationship might stick around, but they wouldn't stick around. So we start by looking at our self-talk. And I was gardening yesterday. The soil was soft, and there's been this big mound of, that grass that kind of travels and sticks along the way, and I haven't been able to even break the soil, but it was soft. So I got out there and I got this big mound out yesterday. And if you want to hear yourself talk, try being out in the garden alone, quiet for a couple hours. And I was shocked. I was having arguments with people from 10 years ago. Right? Aren't they? So, look at our self-talk. We can sit here and say, oh, my self-talk is positive, blah, 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 blah. Try gardening. It's a spiritual experience. And so there are things that are just being revealed more and more. I mean, there's drones in New Jersey, for God's sake, like things are happening and the shift is happening. And it's so important. There's so much stuff going on in this world. I love, speaking of the drones in New Jersey, they said, we don't know what they are, but there's nothing to worry about. Really? Really? Okay. Don't Look Up, right? That was a great movie. And so these ideas are just becoming more and more mainstream and transparent. And so to be open at the top as an individual is to let go of what we think we believe. Even the things we've learned in here. Doesn't even have to be from the distant past. Let go of the things that we learned in here and explore whether they're still true and valid in our lives. So the invitation, I always have to have an invitation or some homework for the week, is, because I know I'm talking to the choir. You guys have been at this for a long time. So the invitation is to go deeper and explore what is your evolution, what is your next step, what is the next greater yet to be. And before I finish, I do just want to, I don't know which way I'm going here. Martin? Okay. So before I leave, I just want to read this quote because I think I was supposed to do it several paragraphs ago. This is from Ernest Holmes from The Art of Life. Life is infinite energy, coupled with limitless and creative imagination. It is the invisible essence and substance of every visible form. Its nature is goodness, truth, wisdom, and beauty, as well as energy and imagination. So in that invitation, I invite you to look for the goodness, truth, wisdom, beauty, energy, and imagination in your life to take you to your next incarnation in this life. So thank you. And I invite Reverend Suzette back.
A dance. That was you did. Woo-hoo. That's in my years. That was a dance. So it's interesting that you talk about, what would you say, open at the top, and I think what you're talking about is the future of evolution completely, of not just of people out there. I'm actually going to ground it down into bringing it to who we are today. The moment your body, down to your body. One thing that I thought you were going to say and you didn't, but I think that's still relevant, is to be for something and against nothing. Be for something and against nothing, which to me is, I think it's initiating consciousness that takes a lot of, for me, what it does is it takes off emotional pressure. Because sometimes if we're always against something, then what we're doing is we're always against this movement forward. But if we can be for something and against nothing, we're neutral. It's a weird concept to understand, but that was one of the things that I thought you were going to talk a little bit about, but it's okay. I'm going to talk about the realm oneness. Oneness not just with all the stuff that's out there, but oneness within. And what does that really mean? How many of us here think that their life is perfect in a bubble? Good, nobody. But many people live in that place where that's the only place their life is in their own realm of a bubble. And because of that, what I want to say is don't do it. Don't ever go there. Instead, open up to the possibilities like we just talked about. But realize that life is hard sometimes. Anybody not had a hard time this week? Life is unfair sometimes, right? You think it's this way, it's maybe that way. And sometimes it's scary. It's scary. So I'm going to take you on what I call a journey of my wellness through, this is week 5 of replacement, 100% replacement surgery on my knee. And I'm here to stand here and say, I'm standing.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to show my scar, but it won't go up that far. But I have my skinny jeans on, make me taller, right? But it's really been a journey for me, and I know that Mary talked about the outside. I want to bring you inside, because having any kind of major surgery, any kind of health that has major issues, is a journey. And it's a journey. Well, I'll have to go through the parts, because if I tell you everything now, you won't be interested. But one of the parts is about I've been getting rides. I've had to surrender, and I haven't had to. I have chosen to surrender to the goodness of other people to bring me here. Some are here, some are not here, some are online. It's been a journey. It's been fun. For me, it's been fun. It's like what do they call that, karaoke? Except we don't sing, but it's like that karaoke ride, and each person is slightly different. You know, the conversation we have on each person has been totally different. One's about hiking and doing things here and being with your dog, and another one's this deep discussion about God. Now, if I wasn't so in the present moment with my own stuff, I would not see that normally. I would just say, oh, give me a ride, see you later, thanks, bye. But I'm not. I'm like trying to just figure out, how does all this stuff work? How do I move into this? But let me give you one example. The first time I was picked up, I had to surrender to my drivers. I had no idea how long things would take. That was number one. Right? You can relate to this. I had no idea the capabilities of my physical body. But I had not gone to therapy. And so I had to surrender, and God bless every one of them, to someone picking up my foot from the floor, lifting it into the car, and not hurting me. Surrendering into that. They had to do that, well, every time I got in, every time I got out. But what happened to me, and it's like, you don't think about these things. You're just going to go, oh, well, they did it. No. For me, as the person receiving the gift that they're giving me, I had to be humble at one point, at all points, I should say, grateful and appreciative. Period. End of story. And it made me really look at also what other people go through. Am I aware of that? And so I opened up to more compassion, actually. One of the things that I noticed about all the drivers, and this is pretty interesting, because I'm also, as I'm sitting there talking to them, kind of looking at them and being, appreciative of their willingness to just take me, is that each one of them had two things in common. One was they were striving for the goodness of Spirit, God, whatever name you call it, to support them in their own activities, their own lives. And every one of them have a different kind of life. So that was one thing. The second thing was they were looking for a way to be in service to a friend, to their animal, to a companion, to humanity. So and to me, I was like, wow, I never looked at it that way. I just looked at it like, well, they were coming to pick me up and say, hey, thanks, I'm glad I can help you, and goodbye. But no, they were all striving for this one thing, and the one thing it is oneness. Where do I fit in? How do I fit in? What does that look like? What do I want to make it look like? So today, I'm going to talk about oneness through all that. Oneness of who are we? And you're going to get a little tidbit of the book that I'm writing. It's on oneness. In this book, I'll just say, well, I haven't named it, but maybe you can help me. I think I'm going to call it Personal Spirituality for All. Many thoughts, many ideas, many ways. Many ways. It's not one way. It's expansive. And so this book, the reason I'm writing this is that I feel that when we get into spirituality, sometimes we don't know what we're getting into. And so these are just spiritual concepts or words, but I'm trying to write it at the 10th grade level. So it's not above somebody's head. It's more about what does that mean to me inside. So today, this is the beginning of the book of oneness, and it's only like 2 pages long, so it's not like this big thing it's going to have to figure out. It's more about you learning about what does that mean. So this is the very first paragraph. There is one universal intelligence, a creative power that infuses and sustains all of existence. The principle of oneness reveals the profound interconnectedness of all life and the unity underlying all things. Just as every thread in the tapestry contributes to its beauty and strength, so too are we integral parts of the cosmic whole, bound together by this divine essence. Oneness is not merely a philosophical concept, it is a lived reality, reminding us that separation is an illusion and that every action we take ripples through the web of existence. So we're it. We are there. We are like that tapestry that woman is making. Every one of those threads are important. Everything about you as a human being is important, no matter how big or small or large it is. We're connected. And what's interesting as I think about Mary's talk, we're connected also to expand. And we all expand in different ways. But every way is important. When I first read this, I thought, oneness is an illusion. Who's heard that before? Anybody? Oneness is an illusion. to me, that sounds a little crazy, but I'll get around to that. Because I don't know, anybody seen the news lately? Anybody listen to the news? Anybody have a complicated life? You were talking about talking as you were doing your gardening. I didn't talk to myself before I got knee surgery. And the reason why I talked to myself in the beginning, at least a lot more than I do now, is because I wanted to tell it was doing a good job. It was doing a good job lifting the leg. It was a good job bending the leg. I can only bend it so far right now. It's just communicating in my own way to my own body. The problem is I was doing it so often, my partner said, "Can you stop?" I got told to be quiet about talking to myself. So you have to do it kind of in a new way. At least I have had to. But anyway, I also put in here oneness with appearance of pain and suffering. The thing is, and this is what's so important, no matter where we are, no matter where the world is, no matter what the politics are, no matter what is going on outside this door, we are all still connected. We are all still connected at that level. And we have to remember that we are, and that we have choices along the way. So, I have something for you as a kind of a report. Do you remember the North Carolina? The flooding, and I guess they called it a hurricane there too. How terrible that was. And then what about the hurricanes in Florida? They were awful. They were just devastating. And then, of course, the fires in LA. Devastating, absolutely devastating. Well, during that time, between all of us, we've given probably about $1,200 to all three events as a group. In addition, maybe some of you have done individual too, which is fine. But when we give like that, and I'm talking about oneness at a level that we don't necessarily think of ourselves as oneness, but when we give at that level, what we do is we say, my heart is with your heart, and I want to just give. I don't want anything back. I just want to give. And so that relieves the suffering, you might say, in our hearts, because that's all we can do at the moment. Now, there's probably other things you can do, but I'm going to use just that as the example. When that happens, we don't expect anything back. We don't expect a report. We don't expect them to even notice that anything happened. Well, I'll have you know that I have 3 people, 3 different reports that came back to me about the things that we did. And I just think they're really cool. So I'm going to share that with you because I want you to know that what you did in that mystical place made a difference for different people and how that did. So the first one, this is from North Carolina. This is an artist. I thought you would enjoy that they created this, what I'm going to read. The words actually go around this, and I'll describe it in a minute. She says, "Oh my goodness, we are deeply humbled by your very generous and kind donation. Most likely it will go to a lady we know that lost her job and income. She's a local artist and needs a little bit of help right now, so incredibly grateful for dear lady." I just call me lady. I'm older than her, so she can do that. Anyway, this is the letter that the woman gave to her. "Dear Laura and friends, I want to make you something special to really express my gratitude for all your help after the hurricane. I don't know what I would have done without you. Really, I feel very, very blessed and so grateful for the money that you sent me. I know that other people connected to you who don't even know me contributed too. I'm so grateful. I was planning on teaching a class on handmade paper making." This is handmade paper that she wrote this on. "Black walnut ink making and earth pigment paint making plans for the day after the storm. It didn't happen. So I'm using this handmade paper for a thank you card instead. I hope you like it." I'm going to cry. I painted this from a photo I took this spring in the forest of Brevard. I love how the painting turned out. I hope you do too. It was so beautiful to see so many people after the storm coming together, and so many helped each other. My neighbors on the corner of 80th and Water Street became a supply hub in the whole neighborhood, gathering there to help each other, to meet each other, to check in with each other, and to get what they needed. It was like a party. They weren't handing out money, though, and that's what really needed most of all, that she needed. Again, I'm very humbled by your donation. I'm so grateful to live near the quiet place and have a connected with the good energy of that place. Thank you. I look forward to connecting again soon. And her name happens to be Suzanne.
All right.
Cool. So that was one. This is the other one from CSL Asheville. It says, thank you all for your prayers and support. Asheville got hit hard. It looked like a war zone here. I'm okay, as are all the congregants, as we've been able to reach. I'm lucky because we have a pool where I live to haul water for toilet flushing.
Wow.
Power, running water, cellular, and phone service, internet, all down. Power is starting to be restored, and food, bottled water, gasoline are coming back. We just got internet restored at the center today. So we are continuing to reach out to our folks. The center buildings are okay, but the property took a big hit. 8-foot flood waters came to the top steps in the front, so they must have been high a little bit. Big trees down all around the campus. Our main entrance and road to it collapsed. We have much rebuilding to do, and we will come back strong. Still no running water and no timeline for restoration. We've been connecting with other reverends as well. Obviously, we are gratefully accepting prayers and financial support, and then they gave that. I think we sent $200 or $300 to them. So that one, and then the last one is from Florida, and this one touched me, I think, the most. This is the card that was mailed. It was sent to me directly, and it says, to our friends at OHM CSL. Thank you. I'm going to cry soon, I'm sure. Your donation to our hurricane recovery effects was much appreciated, as was the feeling of support from our wider CSL family. These back-to-back hurricanes of 2024 brought with them an opportunity to have a felt experience of the beloved community. With your help, we got to work. Over 20 households and 4 of our local nonprofits sustained damages, and our funds, hands, and hearts helped. Just this week, we have 2 of our families move back into their homes. We celebrate with them, with you, and our entire CSL community. We are one, yes. Big loves sent to you in return. Reverend Teresa and your CSL family with Sarasota at CSL Cultural Coast. Is this important to you? Good, because I think that we forget that all of this means that we're one. We're all connected at every level. And to me, I looked at this as we get I put down here, gift of the stories of how unity and oneness makes a difference. This is the second quote of oneness that I thought was very powerful. And this is all it is for quotes for oneness. I just want you to know. Because I don't want to write a book on oneness. I want to write a book on spiritual principles. How do we live this way? The second quote is this. To recognize oneness is to awaken to the truth that we are not isolated individuals, but an expression of a unified source. This awareness fosters a deep sense of empathy, compassion, and responsibility, not only for our fellow humans, but for all beings and planet itself. It reminds us that harm done to one is harm done to all, and that acts of love and kindness uplift the entire network of life. That's our job, is to uplift life. Uplift those that need. And not that we have to go out there and save everybody. I don't want to go save everybody. I want to empower them so that they know that every piece and every part of their body has power, can think in a positive way to make a difference. Carl Jung said this. I thought this was really good too. He says, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious and seeing oneself in all things. As we see ourselves in the light, and we recognize that, and that's not arrogant. That's just being, and knowing that. In fact, I talk to many of you who will say, people just come up and talk to me. They come and say these things to me. I want you to realize that's because they see your light. That's the most important. So I'm going to end with the story of my healing process. I said I would do that because I think that we all have at some level. Anybody have any pain? Come on, raise your hand. Everybody does. You have some kind of pain.
Oh, yeah.
Of some sort. Oh, yeah. Remember that one? Should I say right? Right? So when we have to do, and this was interesting, before I had the surgery, I thought, okay, Suzette, you're really going to hurt yourself now. You're really going to have pain. And so I had questions. I mean, I'm a human being, right? And I go, okay, what's that about? So I wrote down, and that's not a long list, but I wrote down things that I was thinking about prior to the surgery. One was, how much pain will I experience? My God, I had no idea. 2 is, can I handle it? Will I become addicted to the meds? Anybody had that one? That's a big one. I hear that a lot. How long will this take? That is like, oh. And when can I get on with my life? Those are small questions, but they're big things. The thing about those questions are, those are what I call external what ifs. And because of that, if I stay in the external what ifs, in the mystery of that, that takes me away from being in the moment-to-moment experience. So I chose not to do that. I chose to do something different. And so I'm going to give you some of the moments, the one-to-one. So the first day, I realized I needed help from someone who had gone through this experience. Reverend Sherry Sorbo was my mentor for about 2 weeks. And I'll just say what happened briefly. When you have surgery, they put a nerve block in your leg. You know what that is? Who's had knee surgery? Several of you? Okay, you know what it's about, though. Anyway, you are? Well, good. Okay. Anyway, they put a nerve block, and it's only good for 24 hours. Yeah. To the dot. They don't say that, but say 24 hours. In addition to doing the surgery. So on day 1 after the surgery, I didn't have any clue. The nerve block stopped and my knee hurt at the same time. Yeah. And the nerve block is just like an explosion of all your nerves waking up at one time. I was like, oh my God, what I do? I can remember I was out in the patio and it happened. I'm like, I'm in trouble. So I call Reverend Sherry. She goes, oh, that's really normal. Do this, 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 and this. I went, I don't have that, but my dog does. I'll get it. So I did everything she told me. Anyway, she coached me for the first week. I thank you wherever you are. I love you dearly for helping me out because it helped me to understand what was really going on. Once I understood what was going on, I could move forward. The next one was to watch my body. Watch my body was and wasn't capable of doing day to day. It's being aware. At one point I was walker, next day I was in a rolling walker, and then, not the next day, but in between. And then I went slow walking. Now I can walk pretty good. Slowly though. Can't walk with my dog though. I gotta watch that one. But the thing is that what I'm trying to point out is I realize here I'm getting better. And to just say I'm getting better. Looking for the little parts that made me feel better. That was the most important part of this, and still the most important of this transition. In fact, I drove to my mailbox yesterday. I wasn't sure if I could raise my leg enough to, put the brake on. That was kind of fun. I thought maybe I can drive to my hair, get my hair cut. The third one was, this one's pretty interesting because I have a physical therapist that, we talk a lot, and I didn't understand why, but let me tell you what. Okay, it's the physical, being fully present with the different types of pain, like muscle needing to be stretched. That's an interesting pain. Or this was the one that happened this week. I have a scar, okay? Now I've been kind of doing this, being really nice to it. Oh no, she said, we're gonna go, I say it kind of hurts. She started just, scraping, you might say, the scar on both sides, and it was like pins and needles. It's the weirdest feeling I've ever had. But I don't have any more pain anymore because she took care of it. But what was probably the most interesting part of this is that during each time she would do any kind of thing to make the muscle feel better, is she would ask me to tell a story. And I tell stories all the time to take my mind away from it so I would feel better. And then the last thing is she realized that, I realized that this whole process had been really been about the will of me wanting to be better, to get better. Not necessarily, it used to be how fast I would go, but it was like, what is the process of, what's the next thing I have to do to get better, to feel better? And now I'm on a bike just doing half of a, just a half. Can't go any farther because it hurts. So anyway, I want to say, I don't want you to think I love pain. Kind of sounds like I do, doesn't it? But it's not about that. It's about my oneness within my body. You talk about expansion there. I'm talking about expansion inside. Oneness of what is it my body needs, what can it tolerate, and what can it move through. So anyway, I've used my body as an example, but I want you to realize that's true within your life. What are you willing to go through? What are you willing to listen to? And what are you willing to make that little change that'll make a difference? So since I'm running a little bit late, and I don't want you guys to listen to me for 10 hours, it's a joke. I'm going to give you a handout. And let me tell you about the handout in 1 second, Emma. I want you to, this is the exercise I would have you do. But I want you to take this exercise that's in the book, and I want you actually to do this in the next week. I'll just read it to those that are online. First one is spend time in nature. Second one is practice seeing the divine essence in everyone. And really practice that, because it's different when you don't do that. Third one is engage in acts of kindness. And of course, I give you all kinds of ways. And the fourth is extending love without condition, which you've already done. So this is your homework. So go ahead and hand that out. And I was going to have you do part of it here, but I don't want to take up time to do that.
This is great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But this is what my book is going to be about giving you definitions, giving you things to do, giving you quotes. We need another one here. Just she can't hear you, so we need one more. It's okay. Can you pass one over?
Are there two?
There you go. All right, cool. All right, so my question to you is, are you willing to do that?
Yes. Yes.
Are you willing to do that? Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to end with a quote and a prayer, and then we'll have Lesley come back. And I'm going to ask you to close your eyes as I read the quote and allow my prayer to just come forward, and it'll be for the rest of the week. And if anyone online would like a copy of this, just text me, and I'll get it on my phone, and I'll send it to you. So as we're closing our eyes, I want you to think about this quote. It's about oneness from Thich Nhat Hanh. The essence of oneness is recognizing that we are all interconnected, not just with each other, but with every element of the cosmos. The trees breathe what we inhale and exhale. The rivers flow through our veins. The universe is not a collection of separate objects, but a symphony of interwoven energies. And in that realization, we find the profound truth of our shared existence. By living in harmony with this truth, we are not only transform ourselves, but contribute to the unfolding beauty and balance of the world. So knowing that truth, that we are absolutely one with the essence of the divine, of God, whatever word you call it, we are one with that essence. There's absolutely no place where we are separated from that good, from that possibilities, from the love that already exists within our own self. And so today, as I end this talk, I just give thanks. I give thanks for the unity, the oneness, the ability to realize our performance or our knowingness that who we are makes a difference, even in the smallest way to the largest way. And that is our work here, to know that truth and to be that truth, walking in the earth as such. So I bless this talk. I bless each of you that are here to hear this, those that are online, those that will be coming, knowing that we need to hear this. We need to feel this oneness with ourselves and with each other. And that together, as a whole, we help change the world, change our personal lives, and make a difference for others. With that, I am grateful. I give thanks. I release these words knowing they are done, and join me in saying, and so it is. All right. Thank you very much. Let's bring it back.